Hello children, welcome to video lectures of social science standard 10th. Today we are going to start chapter number 4, literary heritage of India. Now what does this particular word literary mean? Literary means related to literature. Now what does literature mean? Literature means books, related to books. Okay. So we are going to study about the heritage of India related to the books, how our old books, old scriptures are helping us in living our life today also, and how it used to be so rich. You might be knowing about the ancient epics of India, that is Mahabharata and Ramayana, that are considered as classics into the world. But there are certain other books also which are also considered very important in the world. So we are going to study about that and the languages that helped India to become one of the most important country into the ancient time. So let us start. Man took help of expressions, symbols, drawings and sound to communicate his thoughts, ideas, feelings and emotions to others. This led to invention of dialect. Okay, now what does dialect mean? Dialect means local language. Local language. Okay, so due to this dialect started. Okay, and scripts. Scripts means written language. Script is written form of language is considered as script. This script contributed to the development of language and ultimately script, okay, means the language in the written form contributed for the development of the language in a larger extent. Over a period of time, language was being used to express of thoughts. Okay, the constructive use of language led to creation of literature. Okay, previously what was the use, or rather what is the main use? It is to express the thought, how you would express someone, how you would express. It is considered as the best, the constructive use, okay, of language led to creation of literature. Now literature, whenever we use this particular word literature, you have to understand that books, related to books, creation of books. Now what does actually literature means? It means everything from the stories that you read, like the short stories, novels, okay, then any of the comic, then epics like Ramayana, Mahabharata, all these things will be included into literature, everything. Okay, now all this led, why this literature, why there was a use of literature, as the language started flourishing up, as the language started growing up, more and more words were added to it. As more words were added to it, it helped to express our thoughts. Okay, it helped in expressing our thoughts in a better way. How to express our thoughts in a better way? Then we can use the language in it. Okay, so that way the language was used for creation of literature. From ancient time, Indian literature is known for its diversity. Diversity is variation and uniqueness. It is also very unique in comparison to the other literatures of the world. Indian literature is very unique. Indian scholars divided ancient literature into Vedic and classic literature. See, for the easy understanding, the Indian literature period is divided into two parts, the Vedic literature and the classic literature. Now, the Vedic literature was basically spread into the, if you take the time duration, it's around about 1500 BC. BC stands for before Christ. Okay, to 200 BC. That was before the Christ. So this the literature which was created during this particular era, basically it was going around our Vedas, which we are going to study about into the later part of the chapter. So the literature which was circling around Vedas was termed as Vedic literature. Okay, and this was written into Vedic Sanskrit. Now Sanskrit was the predominant language at that time. Okay, so the literature which was created basically surrounding Vedas was termed as the Vedic literature, and the duration was thus. Okay, while the classic literature or the classic Sanskrit literature was timed from, you can say, around 200 BC to 1100 AD, that is after death of Christ. So this is also spreading around it. So that particular term, okay, and this all includes, what does it include? So basically this includes the written form of it. Here the Ramayana, Mahabharat, then Panchatantra stories, all are included here, right? So the classic literature is, or the classic Sanskrit literature duration is the duration from 200 BC to 1100 AD, while the Vedic literature is from 1500 BC to 200 BC. Okay, beside this some folk literature was also popular, so this you can say consider as the starting point of it. Now we are going to study about language and literature. So language and literature, if we quickly look at the history, we can see an emergence of variety of languages. See, variety of languages. Okay, so more than one languages started originating since centuries. These languages influenced one another, and it resulted in development of literature. Okay, now there were more than one languages. There is a saying in Gujarati that "Bar gave boli badlai," means if you, as you go further, the languages will change. Like the language spoken in Saurashtra is very different from language spoken in North Gujarat, and language spoken in sides of Ahmedabad, or language spoken into Dang. So you can say that this, due to it, the languages, variety of languages started growing up, and due to it, as they started influencing each other, they started mixing up with each other, they started blending up with each other, and due to it literature was created. As a result, some new languages and literature have developed and flourished. The best example of this is Sanskrit language. The best example is the Sanskrit language. Sanskrit language is less used in present time. Right now, if you see, the language, Sanskrit language is used very less. Okay, but religious ceremonies, worshipping rituals are dealt in Sanskrit language. But today also, okay, in spite of we surrounded with a lot of technology, still the religious ceremony which will be done at your place will be done into Sanskrit, or any of the worships. Okay, any of the worship rituals are also done into Sanskrit language. Generally, languages provide opportunity for humans for better expression. So this is a very important line. Let me mark it. Languages provides an opportunity for human for better expression and understanding. Just imagine that you cannot speak, or you go in, suppose you are traveling to China. Okay, now they don't understand your language, so it is so hard for you to make them understand what you want, or rather even understand that language. Okay, so here language plays a very important part for the expression, or rather better expression and understanding of anything. Okay, India's most ancient script is the Harappan civilization. We know about this. Okay, we had studied about Harappa into the previous chapters, right? So it is the most ancient script which has been not been deciphered. It has not been deciphered, means it has not been solved. And so we have not obtained much information about their language, and due to this, as we have not solved it to much extent, we are not having much information about it. Maharishi Panini, okay, Maharishi Panini was a great Sanskrit grammarian. See, he was a Sanskrit grammarian who used to write about grammar. Right? A person who writes about grammar is termed as grammarian. The most important book of this time is the Maharishi Panini's Adhyay. Remember the names. Here in this particular chapter, you need to remember a lot of names. Okay? Who has written Adhyay? Then Maharishi Panini's Adhyay. Okay? So that is a very important book. Adhyay is a very important book, which is a noteworthy book of Sanskrit grammar. Say Adhyay is a book of Sanskrit grammar of 4th century. See, this was written into 4th century. Sanskrit is considered the language of the Aryans. Now we know about, in the first chapter we had studied about the tribes that came to India. Okay, and Aryans were one of the tribes. So Sanskrit is considered as the language of the Aryans. Okay, it is considered as the language of the Aryans. Language of the sages or language of the scholars. See, today also a person knowing Sanskrit is having a great value in the society. It is not a language that common people speak. Okay, it has been accepted by all the international level that Sanskrit is the best language of computers. See, it is also scientifically proved that Sanskrit is the best language for computer usage. Okay, so you can say Sanskrit is the mother of all the languages. Okay, it is the, you can say, the main of all the languages. Sanskrit was the chief language of the knowledge, science, religion, and philosophy. At that time, there were very few subjects that were studied, and Sanskrit was the main out of them, and it was used for all other subject study for of all other subjects. So here we saw the importance of the Sanskrit language. It was also the language of the Aryans, language of the sages and the saints, and language of the scholars. Okay, so in this particular video lecture we'll keep till here, and in the next chapter we are going to study about the ancient Indian literatures, the books of ancient literatures which are still studied and which are still followed by us.